Welcome to the radio. What time is it on your end, and where are you listening from? Wherever you are, we're glad you're here. This is Quilloren Radio, and tonight's story settles in a soft corner of 2002. You are a video arcade attendant. The machines still glow, still chime, still run their little routines. But fewer kids show up after school now, and the afternoons feel longer than they used to. If stories like this help you unwind, consider subscribing. It helps keep these quiet places alive. Without further ado, let's begin. The key sticks a little in the lock, like it always does when the humidity's high. You give it a gentle jiggle and hear the satisfying click as the gate rolls open. The arcade is still dark inside, save for a sliver of sunlight creeping through the glass door behind you. You pause a moment before flipping the breakers, watching the dull outlines of machines sleep in silence, like furniture in a room no longer used. Then the power hums on. A soft chorus of beeps, fans, and whirring startup jingles rise one by one, a lazy, familiar overture. The neon ropes along the ceiling blink back to life, stuttering their way into a full glow. Machines begin their idle animations. A pixelated cartoon skateboarder does the same trick on repeat. A boxing game urges no one in particular to come on, step up, with more confidence than it deserves. You walk past each cabinet slowly, checking for signs of yesterday's mess. A paper straw wrapper stuck to the dance pad. A few tickets curled near the skee ball ramp. Someone, for reasons unknown, wedged a Snapple cap into the coin slot of the air hockey table. You leave it there for now. It's not hurting anyone. The air smells like carpet cleaner, citrus disinfectant, and something vaguely resembling warm plastic. You know exactly which machines run hot and which ones rattle if you lean on them wrong. The change machine has been moody this week, rejecting fives like it's trying to save people from poor decisions. You straighten a stack of prize tickets at the counter and wipe down the plexiglass. The stool creaks under you as you sit. It always creaks, but never gives out, much like the claw machine near the entrance, which hasn't actually grabbed anything in 3 months but still gets its share of hopeful quarters. Outside, school should have just let out. Back in October, this would have been the hour when the first group came in, usually loud, always hungry, with enough pocket change to make the machines chirp non-stop for at least an hour. You used to recognize the rhythm of their entrance, sneakers squeaking, zipped hoodies, someone always mid-story about a teacher's meltdown. Now, it's just the quiet hum of electronics waiting to be noticed. A delivery truck groans outside. It passes without stopping. The sunlight spilling across the floor has moved a little since you opened, now cutting across the Mortal Kombat screen like a spotlight. One of the characters glows oddly in its beam. It looks accidental, and a little majestic. The arcade isn't big. 2 rows of cabinets, a claw machine near the door, 3 booths along the side wall for snacks no one really eats anymore. A faded cardboard cutout of a racing game mascot still grins in the corner, perpetually giving a thumbs up to no audience at all. You once tried to throw it away, but the trash bin was full and you lost momentum. You hear the mechanical whir of the token dispenser kicking on. Its empty clatter echoes down the space. You reset it out of habit. No one used it today, but it still acts like it has something to do. A single gumball rolls lazily inside the dome of the candy stand, making a soft tap every time it hits the edge. You watch it for a bit. It doesn't go anywhere, just loops the same route like it's committed to the bit. You prop the door open to let a little air in. The outside world smells like hot concrete and distant lunch carts. A pair of middle schoolers pass by the storefront, glance inside, then keep walking. One of them says something and laughs. You didn't catch the words, but you don't think they meant any harm. The arcade just isn't part of their afternoon anymore. Back at the counter, the stool gives its usual complaint as you sit again. You lean forward and tap one of the buttons on the fighting game closest to you. It responds with a cheerful, "Select your warrior," but you let the countdown expire. No one picks today. You reach for the clipboard under the desk, the one with the maintenance log and your half-finished crossword puzzle. 3 letters, portable music format. You smirk. It's either CD or MP3, but the pencil's gone missing again. Probably rolled under the dance pad. That thing eats pencils like it's part of the experience. The carpet feels softer in the absence of foot traffic. A little dusty, a little worn, but still soft. You shift your weight and hear the booth seats groan across the room, the vinyl protesting something imaginary. Somewhere in the back, the microwave beeps. No one's using it. It just does that sometimes. A reminder, maybe, that it still works. That it's here. You let the sound fade without answering it. And with that, the arcade settles again. Machines blinking softly. Lights buzzing gently overhead. A familiar stillness returns, the kind that feels less empty and more like a space waiting to exhale. You start your slow round across the arcade floor, stepping over a scuffed mat that once read, "Welcome gamers," though most of the letters have long worn off. The soles of your shoes make a faint sound as they lift from the old carpet, not quite sticky, but not smooth either. The kind of texture that holds memories whether you want it to or not. The air shifts slightly as you pass the claw machine, which hums low and steady like it's trying not to draw attention. A single stuffed dolphin sits near the glass, just out of reach of the claw's natural arc. You've tried retrieving it during slow hours, just to see if the thing is even still capable of performing its one job. It isn't. You give the boxing game a casual glance. Its display is frozen again, mid-animation, with one glove permanently raised in victorious confusion. The screen shows a motivational quote, "Push yourself to the limit." It feels a little passive-aggressive at this hour. The lights flicker above the skee-ball machines. Not a full flicker, more like a slow blink, as though the ceiling is reconsidering how much light is truly necessary. You stop to adjust one of the ramps, slightly tilted from some overly enthusiastic player last weekend. The machines are quieter now, their ticket dispensers curled up and resting, like dogs that have finally stopped barking. On the far end, the pinball machines line up like aging celebrities. Flash Gordon, Jurassic Park, and one mysterious unit that's lost all its labels but still plays just fine. You nudge its corner gently, and the scoreboard lights up in slow sequence. The flippers twitch once. It remembers its job. Each cabinet has its own voice. The driving game lets out an idle engine growl. One of the shooters insists there's a mission starting in 3. 2, but there's no one holding the plastic rifle. The machines are restless in their own ways, waiting for hands that don't arrive anymore. You run a cloth over the control panel of the old Street Fighter machine. Its joystick feels loose, drifting slightly under your fingers. Years ago, you'd have taped a sign over it, "Under repair." Now, it doesn't feel necessary. No one's asked about it in weeks. Maybe months. Back near the snack counter, you notice the vending machine humming louder than usual. It does that sometimes when it wants attention. You peer inside, same ancient lineup, corn chips that never sell, sodas nearing their theoretical expiration, one bag of cheese puffs that seems to shift positions when you're not looking. You don't test it. The mystery feels like part of the decor now. The air is cooler near the restrooms, where the fan runs a little too hard, like it's trying to prove a point. You push open the door to the party room out of habit. The balloons from last month's cancelled birthday are still half deflated in the corner. You left them there mostly out of curiosity. They're surprisingly resilient. A laminated poster droops on the wall, advertising Double Token Tuesdays. You haven't run that promo in ages, but the tape's too stubborn to bother removing. You once tried pulling it down, but it peeled the paint with it. The poster won. On your way back to the main floor, your foot bumps against something. A lone token, resting near the edge of the air hockey table. You pick it up, feel the weight of it in your palm. The slight ring of metal on metal as it joins the rest in the container under the counter. Small rituals. They keep the day moving. The sound system cycles through its playlist. A low-tempo pop song from 5 years ago fades in, something no one asked for, but it's too quiet to change. You let it play. The melody feels oddly fitting for the empty arcade, as though the machines requested a slow dance. You walk past the redemption counter and glance at the prize shelf. Plastic kazoos, keychains, off-brand candy, and a few wind-up toys stare back at you. One of the bouncy balls has a visible crack, but you leave it on display. Most of the items here aren't really about the reward anymore. They're just remnants of moments that used to matter a little more. A flicker catches your eye, the monitor on the racing game resets, showing its intro loop. Insert coin to begin, it declares, as if that invitation has any power left. You lean on the seat for a second. The vinyl's cold. It squeaks faintly under your weight. You stay there longer than you meant to. Watching the lights cycle. Listening to the layered chorus of attract modes and low buzzes, each one doing its best impression of purpose. It's a strange comfort, a place full of things still doing their jobs, whether or not anyone notices. Eventually, you push yourself up again and make one last slow circuit. A few steps here, a tap on a joystick there. Machines blink. Fans spin. Somewhere near the door, a sensor flickers to life and then shuts off, having mistaken your movement for a customer. But the door remains closed. And the sunlight outside has shifted again, retreating further from the entryway. The break room is barely a room at all, more like a closet with ambitions. A folding chair rests against the wall, the kind that pinches your fingers if you're not careful. Next to it, the microwave sits on a wire shelf, humming faintly, even when not in use. Above it, a handwritten sign reads, "Do not microwave metal," underlined twice. You wrote it last year, after someone tried to reheat a can of ravioli and tripped the power for the entire left row of machines. You lower yourself onto the stool, which leans just slightly to the left, as though it's halfway through giving up. It's not comfortable, but at this point, comfort isn't really the point. This is the one corner of the building that doesn't pretend to be exciting. No flashing lights, no sound effects, just the low buzz of appliances and the faint scent of whatever brand of cleaner was on sale that week. To your left is the vending machine, humming like it's trying to be helpful. Its glass panel is dusty, the kind of film that resists every cloth but never quite builds up enough to demand action. You squint through it, checking the lineup. The cheese crackers are gone, someone must have finally caved. There's still that one can of orange soda on the bottom row, nestled in like a stubborn memory. You never drink it. You don't even particularly like orange soda. But it's been there so long, it feels wrong to disturb it. It's your quiet marker of continuity. The machine rattles briefly, as if reacting to your gaze. You ignore it. Instead, you reach up to the top shelf and grab the logbook. Not the official maintenance one, that's by the front counter, but the personal one you started keeping 2 years ago when the roof started leaking and management kept forgetting. The entries are mostly mundane: light flickering in restroom again, token dispenser jammed, again, soda in machine expired in 2009, possibly. But some notes make you smile, even now. Kid left half-eaten corn dog inside time crisis cabinet. You remember that day vividly. You flip the book closed and look out through the small window that peers into the arcade. The angle cuts across the main row of machines, giving you a sideways view of the action, or lack of it. The machines continue their cycles. Lights ripple across the floor, chasing no one. That banner above the counter, still advertising a long-expired tournament, drifts slightly in the air conditioning. It's peaceful, in its way. On the wall beside you is a faded calendar. You haven't updated it in months, but it stays up. You keep meaning to throw it away, but something about the old date, circled in red, feels like it should be remembered. You don't recall what it marked. A delivery. A half-scheduled inspection. Either way, it's easier to leave it than to face the minor effort of replacing it. You sip from a paper cup, lukewarm water that tastes faintly of plastic and indifference. The break room doesn't pretend to be anything it isn't. That's what makes it comforting. While the arcade tries to capture joy, noise, and movement, this little corner makes no such promises. It's just here. Waiting. Holding up its end of things. There's a drawer under the microwave that holds mismatched utensils, stray napkins, a forgotten plastic spork. You rummage for no reason and find a half-used book of arcade-themed stickers, the kind they used to hand out during birthday parties. One is shaped like a joystick, smiling awkwardly. You peel it and stick it to the edge of the vending machine. It doesn't add much, but it feels like something a person might do. Outside the break room, the arcade continues its steady rhythm. You hear the low whir of the ticket counter resetting itself. No tickets were dispensed, but it likes to remind you it's alive. Somewhere, a speaker declares you win, to no one in particular. You nod, accepting the compliment. You reach into your pocket and find the same 3 tokens you've carried for months. You never spend them. They're not worth much, barely even have monetary value anymore, but they feel like a talisman of sorts. You keep them with you like a reminder that this place still has a little bit of magic left, buried under dust and fading carpet. You think about the soda again. That one can in the bottom row. It's tilted slightly to the side now, as if considering a decision. Maybe next week you'll buy it, just to see what happens. Or maybe you won't. Some things are best left undisturbed. Back at the front counter, the stool lets out its usual groan as you lower yourself onto it. It's a familiar complaint, not hostile, just conversational, as if it's reminding you that both of you are still here, still showing up. Your elbows settle into the shallow impressions they've made in the countertop over time. The surface is smooth, but worn in a way that makes your posture instinctive. You've sat here long enough for your arms to know exactly where to rest. The arcade floor doesn't change, but it doesn't have to. Every cabinet continues its little light show, dutifully looping animations and flashing buttons like they've been programmed to believe someone's watching. One machine offers a free play message every few minutes, optimistic and off base. Another blinks a cheerful insert coin beneath an unlit screen. The contradiction is never resolved. You watch the soft glow of the pinball machines reflected in the plexiglass window beside you. The lights shift slowly across the surface, scattered and blurred. There's a rhythm to it, not musical, not even predictable, but gentle in its inconsistency. Somewhere in the back corner, the racing game revs its engine again. It sounds like a car trying to clear its throat. The air is still. Not heavy, just aware. It has a presence, the way empty buildings often do. You can still pick up faint traces of cotton candy, rubber, grease, and whatever makes cheap carpet smell like that. It's not unpleasant. You've grown attached to it, in the way one might grow attached to a waiting room they've visited too many times. You reach over and pull the visitor log out of its slot. No one signed it in days. There's a little smiley face drawn next to the last entry. You don't remember seeing that before. You trace the circle with your thumb and close the booklet without writing anything new. Stillness here isn't the absence of activity. It's a kind of presence, like the arcade itself has taken a breath and decided to hold it a little longer. You lean back slightly, just enough to tilt your view toward the ceiling. One of the panels is misaligned again. You keep meaning to fix it. But the tilt has become part of the room's personality now, like a hat worn slightly off-center. The machines are quieter in this hour, their sounds more spread out. The skee-ball lanes hum lightly as they power down to standby. The crane game stirs with a small rattle, not a full cycle, just enough to suggest it's still in the mood for company. The soda machine lets out a sigh, long and mechanical, before returning to silence. You can hear it thinking. You don't move for a while. Your posture slackens. One foot finds the crossbar of the stool, the other rests flat on the floor, half-turned. You're not slouching, but there's no real structure to how you're sitting now. You're just there. Breathing. Letting the moment have the room. Outside, faint traffic passes. You can hear it if you focus, but the arcade has a way of insulating you from the world beyond its walls. The front windows tint the sunlight just enough to make the afternoon feel later than it is. A small shadow, possibly from a nearby tree or a flag, shifts slowly across the glass door. You watch it move, not because it's interesting, but because it's something that changes. You glance across the empty booths by the snack counter. One of the seat cushions has split slightly along the edge. The foam inside is a pale yellow, almost white. You make a note in your head to tape it later, but it's not urgent. Nothing is. The redemption shelf lights are still on, casting a warm glow over plastic dinosaurs, neon bracelets, and candy that's probably better left unwrapped. You think about how many tickets it would take to buy all of it. The number feels enormous and also beside the point. You let your eyes drift to the claw machine again. The dolphin is still there, unchanged. You remember when it wasn't the only toy in there, when the bin was full of plush frogs, soccer balls, little bears with sunglasses. The sunglasses fell off, most of them after a week. You always thought that was an oddly specific failure. The vending machine light casts a narrow beam across the floor, stopping just short of the break room door. It's a long rectangle of soft white, vibrating ever so slightly with the machine's low hum. You've started to think of it as the arcade's version of a sunrise. Brief. Uneventful. Still nice. You rest your hand over the edge of the counter and feel the uneven surface beneath your fingers. A sticker peeled off last month, and it left a faint outline, a ghost of its adhesive. You rub it with your thumb out of habit. The mark remains. Some things settle in too deeply to smooth out. The stool shifts beneath you again, not enough to be unstable, just enough to remind you that you're not completely still. Your shoulder brushes against the back wall. The contact is grounding. The arcade speaks in soft phrases now. Clicks. Faint whirs. A speaker crackling before cutting itself off. The wall clock ticks on, quieter than you remember. It might be getting tired. You close your eyes for a few breaths. No reason. Just to see how the sounds land without vision. You can still hear the lights buzzing. You can still hear the low murmur of machines remembering how to function. When you open them again, nothing's different. Not really. That's the comfort in it. The arcade doesn't need you to change anything. It just needs you to sit here, to be here, for now. If you've made it this far and the quiet has settled in nicely, consider subscribing to Quilloren Radio. It helps keep these small, still places going, places where the lights hum gently and the noise knows how to rest. We upload stories like this regularly, and your support lets us keep the machines running. The arcade doesn't quite change, but something in the air tilts, not noticeably, just enough to be felt rather than seen. The lights seem a little softer now. Or maybe they're blinking slower. The difference is subtle, like the difference between a song you remember and a song you dreamed. You stand and stretch, but your arms feel lighter than they should, as if gravity is taking a short break. The stool creaks behind you but doesn't fully return to its upright position. It stays tilted slightly, as if it, too, is considering a nap. The claw machine runs through its idle cycle again, but this time, the claw itself trembles slightly in place before dropping for no reason at all. It lands on nothing, grabs at air, and rises again, empty but determined. You don't recall it ever doing that. You don't stop it, either. You walk the length of the arcade, and your footsteps don't echo the way they normally do. The carpet feels softer, almost cloud-like, beneath your shoes. Your movements don't exactly slow, but they seem to trail behind you for a moment, like a breeze that forgot where it came from. One of the machines near the back displays a screen that doesn't match its usual game. Instead of pixelated martial arts characters, it shows a looping animation of a canoe drifting across an empty lake. The colors are muted, and there's no sound. Just the boat, slowly passing between still trees. The insert coin prompt is still there, blinking patiently beneath it. You glance at the party room door. It's open now. You don't remember opening it. Inside, the balloons are gone. In their place is a single folding chair under a flickering light, surrounded by walls covered in tournament posters, but all the dates are blurred out. One of them simply says, "Sometime soon," in large, vague lettering. Back near the skee-ball machines, the scoreboard resets with a soft chime, then displays a score of 0, followed by a short message, "Nice try." You weren't playing. You stop at the racing game and notice the steering wheel has turned slightly on its own. Not much, just a quarter-inch to the left, like the machine is choosing a direction in your absence. The screen shows a desert highway stretching endlessly forward, but there are no other cars. No timer. Just the road, humming faintly as the pixels shimmer. You place your hand on the back of the seat. It's warm. Not from sunlight, not from use, just warm, as though it's been thinking about something. The air carries a new scent now, something faintly like drier sheets and sugar, as if someone passed through recently and left the idea of a memory behind. It lingers only as long as you notice it. You move toward the redemption counter and glance at the prizes again. The items haven't changed, but their arrangement seems slightly different. The cracked bouncy ball is now in the center, and beside it sits a small plush star you don't remember ordering. It's missing one eye, stitched unevenly. You pick it up, and it makes no sound, but the weight of it is oddly calming. You return it to its place. A banner above the front entrance shifts gently in a breeze you can't feel. It now reads, "Thank you for visiting," whenever that was. The corners are curled just enough to obscure the last few letters. You don't mind. You glance toward the vending machine. The can of orange soda is no longer tilted. It's standing upright now, centered in its row. The machine hums quietly, but the light inside feels warmer than before, almost golden. You stare at it a little longer than you should, not because you plan to buy it, but because it's doing a convincing impression of nostalgia. The arcade's background noise blends in new ways. What was once a scatter of beeps and digital pings now flows like a single, layered voice, calm, rhythmic, familiar. You wonder if the machines are talking to one another. Not in language, but in repetition. Their lights blink at irregular but complementary intervals, like they're syncing on purpose. You pause near the old pinball cabinet, the unlabeled one. The score display reads 000000, but beneath it is a message that slowly scrolls, "You're still here." The flippers twitch once. The game resets without being touched. The longer you stand still, the more the arcade seems to drift sideways, not physically, but emotionally. As if time is relaxing its grip. There are no clocks in your line of sight now. The windows have fogged slightly, or maybe the sun has decided to set without warning. You're not sure what time it is. You're not sure it matters. Somewhere, a speaker plays a short melody. It sounds like the end of a level. You wait for the rest of the song, but it never comes. Just that one bright, four-note phrase that echoes once and fades. The break room door is ajar again. You can just barely see the light from the vending machine casting that familiar rectangle on the floor. The sticker you placed earlier, the smiling joystick, is still there. But now there are two of them. You take a slow breath. The arcade doesn't hum louder or quieter in response. It simply continues. Existing. Looping. Dreaming, maybe. With or without you. You notice the air has cooled. Not a chill, exactly, more of a gentle drop, like the kind you feel when a cloud passes in front of the sun, and the world steps into shadow for a moment. You shift your shoulders slightly and glance toward the back hallway. The party room door, once open, is now fully closed again. No sound came from it. It just changed its mind. You stand from the counter stool and stretch, joints moving with the soft precision of habit. The arcade lights feel dimmer, though none of them have gone out. They just seem to cast their glow with more restraint. Even the vibrant loops on the fighting games are subdued now, their colors a few shades softer than before. You walk the aisle that runs between the skee-ball machines and the upright cabinets. Your shoes make less sound on the carpet this time. Or maybe the carpet's just more willing to absorb it. The back hallway is lit by a flickering ceiling fixture that used to buzz, but now crackles faintly, like it's whispering something in Morse code. The vending machine by the break room hums in a lower pitch. You glance at it again. The can of orange soda has turned slightly, no longer facing front. It now looks sideways, as if it's shy about being noticed. You head past the vending machine and toward the service corridor. It's a short stretch, meant only for staff, but tonight it feels longer than usual. The fluorescent light overhead blinks once, then holds steady. On the wall, a dusty poster of a cartoon dinosaur still announces a Summer Bash event that never quite happened. The dates are smeared. The dinosaur wears sunglasses, unbothered. As you turn the corner, you expect to find the storage door, the one with the faulty handle and the dent from the time someone opened it too fast. But instead, there's just a blank wall. Pale beige, no marks. You stop. Blink. Then blink again. You turn slowly to look behind you. The hallway is still there. The party room. The vending machine. Everything in place. But the storage door, the one you've passed 100 times, has simply decided not to participate this evening. You say nothing. There's nothing to say. Instead, you walk back toward the arcade floor. As you return, something feels different, though the machines remain where they were. The lights are still blinking. The air still carries the scent of rubber, sugar, and circuitry. But the angles of the room feel unfamiliar. Not wrong, just rearranged slightly. Like the space exhaled while you were gone and now sits in a new position. You glance at the prize counter. The cracked bouncy ball is gone. In its place is a stack of miniature notebooks you're certain were never there before. Each has a plain gray cover. You pick one up. The pages are blank, but the paper feels warm. Back near the front, you check the coin counter. The display reads, 3003, an oddly specific number that has no bearing on anything. You press the reset button out of habit. It doesn't change. The speakers in the ceiling play something low and melodic. Not music, not quite, more like the ambient hum of something turning gently in water. The arcade cabinets don't react. They blink and cycle, unaware or uninterested. You pause near the booth seating. The torn cushion is gone, replaced with a smooth one that doesn't match the others. It's darker, and when you press it with your hand, it makes no sound. You sit for a moment, just to test it. The vinyl is cold, but only briefly. Then it adapts, or you do. Your back presses against the wall behind you. The wall is warm, inexplicably. Across the arcade, the neon ropes on the ceiling now pulse in long, slow waves, instead of their usual steady flash. They seem to follow the rhythm of your breathing. Or perhaps you've started following theirs. You don't remember turning off the open sign, but the glow from the front window is gone now. Either the sun has fully set, or the outside world has simply moved on without you. The street, once faintly visible through the glass, is now a smooth panel of dark. You rise from the booth and return to the center aisle. The machines are quieter. Not silent, but hushed. They feel more like company now, less like devices. One of the cabinets near the wall, the puzzle game with the cracked joystick, emits a low chirp. The screen flickers, then shows a looping animation of a person walking in place, moving forward but never arriving. You let it run. There's a draft near the door, though it's fully closed. The air brushes your arm as if the building is sighing. You stand for a moment longer, and then return to the counter. The stool is where you left it, but now it feels slightly taller, or perhaps you're shorter. You sit again and rest your arms on the counter. The air holds still. The lights ripple gently. And in this softened room, where space has shifted and time has politely stepped back, you settle once more into the stillness. You don't remember closing your eyes, but when you open them again, the arcade feels further away, like it's been pulled back slightly, just out of reach. You're still seated at the counter. The stool rocks faintly beneath you, its worn cushion giving just a little more than usual. The machines continue their quiet performances, flickering and humming in the soft dark, but their sounds feel muffled now, as though coming through fabric. A curtain drawn between you and their world. The air is warmer, thick with the scent of old plastic and the faintest trace of buttered popcorn, even though the machine's been broken for months. It smells the way memory does when it wants something to feel sweeter than it really was. You shift your weight slightly and let your hands rest on the counter. The laminate is cool beneath your palms. Smooth, unbothered, the surface holding every faint scuff and scratch from a dozen years of impatient fingers and spilled sodas. You run your thumb along the edge. There's a chip you hadn't noticed before, shaped a little like a crescent moon. It catches your skin gently and holds it for a moment before letting go. The vending machine in the corner clicks softly, not dispensing anything, just reminding you it's still there. The can of orange soda is now completely turned around, label facing the back. You don't remember hearing it move. Behind you, the prize shelf stands in its usual half-organized state. The row of plastic rings leans ever so slightly leftward, and the sticker packs have been shuffled into new configurations. You let your eyes trace the shelves slowly, without urgency. Everything here feels patient. Somewhere behind the ceiling tiles, a fan switches on. The sound is barely there, just a long, low breath that hums in rhythm with your own. The room doesn't seem to be waiting for anything anymore. It just is. You look toward the main doors. The glass reflects only the glow of the machines now. Nothing beyond it. Not darkness, exactly, more like the absence of anything to compare the inside to. The world outside the arcade has folded down for the night. You lean forward slightly, resting your arms. Your body feels heavier now, not in a burdensome way, more like a warm coat pulled snug around your shoulders. The kind you didn't know you needed until it was already there. One of the skee ball lanes creaks faintly, though no ball moves. Just the wooden surface adjusting to the quiet. It sounds like a floorboard sighing. A light above the change machine flickers and fades. You watch it go without concern. The other lights will hold. You sit a little deeper now. Shoulders lower. Neck softens. The stool is part of you. The arcade breathes with you. There's a rhythm here, not the mechanical beat of the music games or the sharp tones of electronic alerts, but something slower. The pulse of an old place that knows how to rest. It invites you in, not with hands or words, but with presence. You hear the faintest scrape, a single token sliding across a counter somewhere behind you. Just one. Then nothing. The sound feels like punctuation on a sentence no longer being written. You close your eyes again, this time deliberately. The sounds remain, but they blend together, the chirps, the low fans, the soft electric hum, into one long note that doesn't rise or fall. You breathe. Not deeply. Not shallowly. Just enough. The scent of the room, warm, dusty, and oddly sweet, wraps around you like an old song with no lyrics. It feels familiar. Not because you remember, but because your body does. You let the weight in your limbs grow heavier. The fingers relax. Your spine curves gently. Even your thoughts soften at the edges, like they've been placed in a warmer light. Somewhere, a machine resets. The startup chime is slower than usual. You don't move to check it. Instead, you sit. Still. Held by vinyl and carpet, by the blinking lights and the walls that now lean just a little closer than they used to. The arcade is smaller now, not in size, but in purpose. It no longer tries to entertain. It simply holds. The room has exhaled, and you are inside that breath. The minutes no longer matter here. There's no counting them, no measuring how long the lights have flickered or how often the fans have hummed. The arcade has folded itself into a kind of pause, the kind that doesn't wait to be broken. You stay seated, not because you have to, but because you want to. The counter, the machines, even the soft rattle of loose tokens in the drawer behind you, they all feel like part of the same long exhale. Somewhere to your left, one of the machines resets its screen. The familiar startup jingle plays, slightly slowed down, as if the game itself has grown sleepy. You don't turn to look. You know it by heart. The melody loops once, then fades. The stool creaks gently beneath you as you shift your weight. You're not uncomfortable, just aware of your body again. Your arms rest easily across the counter, and your legs stretch slightly, the soles of your shoes brushing against the edge of a cardboard box tucked under the register. You can't remember what's inside. It doesn't feel important. Behind the prize shelf, the back wall still bears the faint mark of a poster that once hung there. A thin rectangle, darker than the wall around it. You try to recall what it was, maybe a racing game advertisement, or one of those motivational charts the manager used to tape up and forget about. Either way, it's gone now. The outline remains, more honest than the poster ever was. You listen again. No music plays. No children shout. Just the soft blend of machine fans and fluorescent lights, the quiet kind that hum without bothering anyone. The arcade is at rest, but so are you. You think, briefly, about the after-school hours, the rushes, the noise, the clatter of tickets being spit from machines like tiny paper victories. You used to fish coins out of pockets and slide them across counters. Now, they mostly stay in jars. You remember one kid in particular, used to come in every Wednesday with 2 tokens and a melted candy bar. Always played the same crane machine and never won. But he kept coming back. Said the claw was easier to deal with than gym class. You haven't seen him in a long time. You wonder if he ever beat the claw. There's no sadness in the thought, only a kind of soft understanding. People drift. Places quiet down. Even the loud ones. You glance at the clock above the change machine, and for a moment, the hands don't move. Then they do, just slightly. Enough to remind you the world still turns, but not urgently. The scent in the air has shifted. Still warm, still faintly sweet, but now there's a hint of something older. Like the inside of a coat closet that hasn't been opened in a while, fabric and dust and something almost like cedar. It wraps around you like a soft curtain. Your breath comes slower now, and deeper. Each inhale a little more even, each exhale a little longer. The machines flicker in gentle rhythms. No game plays, no scores rise. Just a gentle loop of light, as if the circuits themselves have grown content with just being on. The stool sighs again beneath you. A soft give in the vinyl, a quiet settling. You look across the room, and for a moment, it looks like a memory. Not yours specifically, just a memory. The kind someone might carry with them without knowing why. And in that stillness, something gentle opens in you. Not a revelation or a lesson. Just a feeling, one that says, this was enough. This quiet. This moment. This small life, gently lived. You stay there, letting the sounds of old machines and older air fill the gaps between your thoughts. You don't need to move. You don't need to leave. Not yet. The air has thickened just slightly, like a soft blanket drawn over the room. It holds the warmth of machines that have long since stopped working hard. The fans hum, but they don't cool, they just whisper. A low, predictable breath. You haven't moved in a while, and there's no reason to. Your limbs feel heavy in the most forgiving way. Not tired, simply done for the day. There is nothing left to push against. Across the floor, the carpet's faded pattern swims in the glow of idle screens. Red, blue, green, soft pulses repeating like distant lighthouse signals. One of the older cabinets flickers once, then stills again. It's done its duty for the evening, or perhaps the week. A single paper cup rests on a nearby table. You think it was there this morning, or maybe yesterday. It hasn't moved, and no one's complained. The straw leans at an angle, a frozen gesture of something that used to be refreshing. Your fingers brush the edge of the counter. The texture is familiar, worn laminate, chipped at the corners, warmed by hours of leaning elbows. It reminds you of every small break you've taken in this exact spot. Every pause between games, every moment when nothing needed fixing. There's a long, low beep from the prize redemption machine. It's not urgent. Just a note in the air, like a cat yawning from across the room. Then nothing again. Silence, but not empty. Full silence, the kind you can rest inside. Your thoughts drift sideways. Not forward, not backward. Just adrift. A memory shows up. Not sharp, not detailed, more like a shadow of a thought. An afternoon years ago, too warm, with the scent of a mall pretzel on your clothes and a new blister from a pinball button that stuck. You think you were annoyed at the time. Now, the feeling has faded, replaced by the simplest kind of nostalgia, the kind that doesn't ask for anything in return. Time has stopped counting. You sense it. The arcade, the lights, your breath, they've agreed to stop keeping track. Another exhale, slower now. Longer. A small, mechanical sound comes from the back. Maybe a ticket dispenser finally giving up a loose stub. Maybe nothing. You close your eyes. You hadn't meant to, but they shut on their own, the way lights slowly dim when no one touches the switch. Behind your lids, the colors still glow. You see them, blinking, fading, waiting. Somewhere in the far corner, a light goes out. It takes its time. Flickers, dims, then disappears. The rest follow, slowly, obediently. Not in protest, just in peace. The walls hum less now. The air has settled. There is no wind, no echo, no time left to mark. Your breath is the only thing you still hear. In and out. In and out. The rhythm is yours, and it is enough. And then, nothing needs to happen. Nothing more needs to be seen. You're still here. And that's more than enough.